and welcome to Somewhere on the Spectrum. Just a very short video this week because there's something that I do with my ESL students every year, and I would like you to do the same thing because I found that it's actually really helpful for everyone, it turns out. What an idea. So this time every year, I want you to review your life. I know, it's cringy, I know. So here's the point. For many of us, we have time blindness. We really struggle to see time, whether that's 5 minutes of time or 5 years of time. And what that can do is it can make us really blind to any progress that we've made. In fact, humans are terrible at recognizing progress anyway. So we're not unusual in that way. But I think part of the challenge is our time blindness adds to this because we feel like we've been doing something forever and we've never made any progress with it whatsoever. So every year around this time, want to take some time out and look at what you have done. Depending on how you track or don't track your life, this is going to be easier or harder for you. In a couple weeks, I'm going to show you how I track my life now. This is a very new development from this year, and it's been really, really helpful for me. But for now, think about, do you track your life in any way? If not, do you journal? Do you write notes? Do you write stuff down? Do you have a notebook that you're always writing things in? Do you track your life on social media? All of these kind of things. Look for a way that you can track your life. And what I want you to do is go back to January and see if you can remember or figure out what you were struggling with in January, what you were upset about, what the challenges were, and then look at the rest of the year and what's happened. This might be as simple as you started a university course and now you've finished all of these modules. Yay, brilliant. If you're older, it's likely to be more complicated. So for me, it's things like starting this channel, something that I wanted to do way back in January and I thought about for a really long time, and it took me all that time to finally get up the guts to do it. It wasn't just getting up the guts, also what I wanted to do changed a few times as well. It could be things personally, it could be about development. If you have a therapist and you've been working through stuff, then it might be worth talking to your therapist about this and having one of your sessions looking at the progress that you've made, the stuff that you've worked on this year. So really we're looking for things where you have gone forward. Maybe you've inched forward. Maybe it's tiny. If you're in burnout, it's likely super tiny. And if you're in burnout, your progress may be sleeping, allowing yourself to sleep and rest and not judging yourself for it. So we're not talking about giant steps here. We're talking about just little tiny things that you've done. And if you're in burnout, those are going to be really, really tiny things. But the thing is with burnout, if you embrace the resting and the doing the stuff that you like, then you can inch your way out of it. It sort of means you're not doing anything else though. It is a challenge. This week, review the last year. If you've never done a review before, then it might be worth going back further. It might be worth looking at, since you were a teenager, where have you come? What have you learned? Or since diagnosis, what have you learned about yourself or the world or how you fit in? It might be just a 5-year review. And then from then on, you can do it once a year. But the key important thing with this is we're not beating ourselves up. We're looking for things that have been successful. If you've had bad things that weren't successful, then we're taking those into account and we're looking at how we could make them more successful in the next year. So for me, finance is a massive, massive issue. So I decided that every month I would go through my statement, my bank statement, and put it into my budget so that I knew where I'd spent all of my money. That was about 10 years ago that I started doing that. And so each year I have some incremental difference that I try to get better at managing my money. I try to understand where it's gone. I try to keep track of what's going where. And then this year, the big thing was sorting out my pensions and trying to learn something about investment. I'm terrified of maths. So anything finance related was a hard no for me, which is why my pensions have lingered and languished for 5 years because it was just terrifying to even consider it. So for me, it took me 6 months and 5 years to put something into action. And sometimes I find that actually to get that action, you have to have something change. So for me, it was finding an app that could move my pensions for me without me needing to call people or do anything myself or worry too much about, is this a good idea or a bad idea, or try and analyze all the pensions and stuff like that. It was finding the right app, and then I could just, that happened quite easily after that. Of course, the irony of all these things is very often we're worried and then it takes 5 minutes. It didn't take 5 minutes, but I tell you, it didn't take nearly as long as I thought it was going to take. But I needed that app in the first place to exist for me to then be able to do the next steps. So I think that's another thing, is analyzing the situation. I'm hoping I'm making progress with my Korea now. That started 2 days ago because I had the right question to ask ChatGPT. And that's the thing. A lot of the time, this starts with the right question or the right piece of equipment, the right technology, the right person to ask you the question. So don't beat yourself up if the stuff that's languished for a long time, you might just not have got the right angle on it yet. But getting hold of all of those things in one place, analyzing them, reviewing them, looking at them with a clearer mind, instead of judging yourself, instead of saying, well, I suck at math and I suck at finance and I'm never going to be able to do this and I'm terrible at finance and I'm going to never have any money, rather than being all negative about that. True statements from my mind. Instead, try and look at it objectively and say, okay, fine, I suck at maths. Great. Is this a skill I could learn? Is there parts of this that I could learn? Turns out I'm actually quite good at learning stuff. I know that. I can analyze things. I can ask for help from ChatGPT. I have friends I can ask for help. There are books I can read. So just because I'm not good at maths doesn't necessarily mean that I'm never going to be able to manage my finances. It's a skill that I need to have the confidence to try and learn and practice. Easier said than done, but this is what I want you to start thinking about. So in your review, looking objectively at your life, don't be mean to yourself, but do be honest and consider what things are working, what things are not working, what things you have successfully proceeded on and you're satisfied and happy about that, what things you wish you could maybe had done a little bit more on. And right now we're not doing anything with that information. We're just gathering it in one place, looking at it objectively. If you want, you can start looking at, okay, is there anything I can do about this? But I would say hold that thought for a little minute and just process for now. Review and process what you review. And don't worry too much about what happens next. Because otherwise you're going to get impulsive and rush on ahead and make big plans, and it's going to get all sorts of something. So relax. Just do your review, put your book away, move on for a little while. We'll come back. All right, I'll see you next week. Have a great week. Bye.